Okay, before I say anything that upsets you, I want to make clear that I love Highlander. It was one of my favorite movies in the 1980s, and the TV show was a staple of my late night TV watching during my college days. I say all of this because I might say a few things that are critical of the film, but oddly, it comes from a place of love and a place of what could have been. In this video, we're going to look back at 1986's Highlander and discuss why this film might have had one of the best story concepts of the entire 1980s. Russell Mulcahy, a music video director, made Highlander based on a script by Gregory Wyden, Peter Bellwood, and Larry Ferguson. And I think the first thing you can say about the story is that it is genuinely a compelling concept. Highlander deals with a group of, in the first film, men that are immortal and are compelled to fight one another throughout time until there is only one left. The last immortal will become godlike and receive some type of omniscient prize. You are never told the how or why in the film of what is going on, as in like who is behind it. Is it a god or gods, or is it just random? And that's okay. The mystery is fine, and revealing everything might ruin what was already a good thing. Highlander has some really strong things going for it that makes it a 1980s cult classic. First, Mulcahy does some really interesting things as a director. The technical aspects of the film are really engaging. The cinematography by Jerry Fisher is unique, and there are numerous shots that are really fun. I always find where the film puts the camera to be delightful. The movie could have been phoned in and done as like a paint by the numbers genre picture, but it is clear that there was some care in what they were doing. And of course I have some criticisms, but I'll talk more on that later. Sean Connery as Ramirez and Clancy Brown as the Kurgan overact the hell out of this movie, and it is so much fun. Connery assumes the mentor role that you see in the hero's journey, and specifically the hero's journey of Christopher Lambert's Connor McLeod. And for the most part, it works. I mean, it is reported that Connery made like $1 million for a week of work. It's just crazy. And Clancy Brown is wonderful as the ancient nemesis, the Kurgan. Gregory Wyden, the screenwriter, was disappointed in the film's portrayal of the Kurgan because there was a depth and complexity to him that he was this ancient being that just wants to end the journey to the prize. He's tired and in a way completely disconnected from the reality that he's living because he's seen so much and experienced so much tragedy. That idea is really compelling, and I really wish they explored that more than a scene where, the Kurgan drives around with an old lady while a Queen song plays. Christopher Lambert is fine as Connor McLeod. I think he shines the most as a performer in the scenes in Scotland, and specifically with the character Heather, played by Beattie Edney. The film really becomes compelling when it deals with the tragedy of immortality, especially when those you love grow old and die. Connor in the film shields himself from loving again after Heather, and this story concept, it really brings depth to Connor, and I think Christopher Lambert is the best in those moments and with that storyline. The action in the movie is fun in an 80s sort of way. I know this is just the director's cut, but I love Fazil backflipping down the parking garage, without his sword. But I also love when Ramirez and McLeod are standing on a mountain to practice their sword fighting techniques. It's clear that they're stunt doubles, but why are they there? I guess balance. Ramirez and the Kurgan fighting on the castle steps, that's a great scene and sequence, and the climactic battle is shot beautifully and has a really engaging backdrop after they fall to the floor of what seems to be an empty soundstage of the Silver Cup Studios in New York City. As for the music, thank God for the band Queen. I love the soundtrack for the film, from Princes of the Universe to The Powerful, Who Wants to Live Forever. It's amazing. Queen never gets old, and their soundtrack to the film is classic and fixes the film in this 1980s sweet spot. But there's also frustrations in the film. The first is Roxanne Hart's character Brenda, who inexplicably falls in love with McLeod. She consistently makes weird decisions and has a unique job as a metallurgist and a forensic scientist. And like Heather in the earlier flashbacks of the film, Brenda spends a lot of time screaming. There are also tonal shifts when the Kurgan is scary, menacing, and then completely silly. Some people love it, but there was a concept in place that I talked about earlier in the video that would have made him way more interesting, and they don't go there, and that's too bad. Also, from a story point of view, there are several odd choices and things go unexplained. For example, where's Connor when Ramirez and the Kurgan fight? Maybe I missed it, but I don't recall an explanation. And why do the cops let McCloud go after he was running away from a murder scene at the beginning of the film? There are several story gaps and odd decisions that characters make that are simply confusing. But, to be honest, I'm willing to love this movie despite its flaws. Still, Highlander could have been something extraordinary. I'm not talking about an awesome cult film that we love in spite of its flaws. I'm talking about a classic film that would rise above its cult status. The pieces are all there, but I want to know what you think. Let me know what you do think in the comments below, and as always, thanks for living in the past with me.